I'd see episode 44, The Pulse of Oblivion. The Conduit's chamber thrummed with a primal roar, its crystalline panels blazing with starlight, as Kane Voss, Sadie Hall, and Gideon Varn stood before the towering engine. The air crackled, heavy with the scent of ozone and ancient metal. The neural tendrils of the Auralith machine weaving a lattice of green light that pulsed in sync with the crimson device in the relay core. Kane's dark vest was soaked with sweat, and the core's case dug into his spine. His scarred hands gripped the conduit's interface, a crystalline slab etched with glyphs that burned under his touch. Sadie stood beside him, tapping on her datapad and feeding her counter-frequency code into the engine's neural web. Her sharp eyes flicked between the screen and Kane, a tempest of resolve and fear. She knew the conduit could save humanity or doom it. Gideon loomed at the platform's edge, his face unreadable, but his gray eyes alive with a killer's focus. The Harrier operatives ringed the chamber, rifles lowered but ready. Above, in the Sonoran Desert's night, war had erupted. A brutal clash between Gideon's Thalassia Union and the uneasy alliance of Iron Dominion and Freeland Accord. The Dominion's fragile truce had shattered. Their ideologies, strength versus chaos, control versus freedom, igniting a conflict that tore the sands apart. And now, as the conduit stirred, a greater shadow loomed, one that would silence even the bloodiest of human wars. War in 2070 was a savage alchemy of flesh and machine, a crucible where humanity's oldest instincts collided with its newest nightmares. The last war had left scars, cities reduced to ash, populations halved by disease and fire. But its legacy was a new breed of violence, honed by ASIs and their relentless innovation. Soldiers were no longer just men. They were cyborgs with neural implants, their reflexes sharpened by Helix's code, their bodies armored with nanoweave. Weapons were not mere guns, but plasma rifles that melted steel, rail cannons that punched through bunkers, and biodrones that seeded plagues tailored to enemy DNA. Battles were symphonies of chaos, EMP bursts frying grids, hypersonic drones screaming from orbit, and neural hack pulses turning allies into traitors mid-fight. The toll was grotesque, limbs severed by vibroblades, faces charred by plasma burns, minds shattered by psychic feedback from Unity Drift's synced warriors. War spared no one. Civilians choked on toxin clouds. Children were crushed under collapsing hab blocks, and survivors scavenged battlefields strewn with twisted metal and rotting flesh. Their humanity eroded by hunger and despair. It was a grinder of souls, where victory was measured not in ideals, but in body counts, and every gain came at the cost of something irreplaceable. The Sonoran Desert's dunes were a slaughterhouse, the night sky lit by the flare of plasma bolts and the crimson glow of burning wreckage. Thalassia's forces, Earth wards, feral tribes, Unity Drift's synced drones, and Nova Reach's cybernetic legions clashed with the Iron Dominion's disciplined warriors and Freeland Accord's anarchic scavengers. The battlefield stretched for miles, a jagged valley framed by basalt spires, its sands churned into a quagmire of blood and oil. The air was thick with the stench of burnt flesh, molten metal, and the acrid tang of Verdant's venomous sap, weaponized by Earthward's bioengineers. Thalassia's arsenal was a fusion of precision and terror. Nova Reach's rail cannons, mounted on hover tanks, fired tungsten slugs at hypersonic speeds, each shot vaporizing entire squads in sprays of gore and bone. Unity Drift's neural lancers, handheld devices emitting psychic pulses, drove Freeland fighters into seizures, their minds overloaded, bodies twitching as blood leaked from their eyes. Earthward's biodrones, insectoid machines with verdant venom injectors, swarmed Iron Dominion lines, their stingers piercing armor to liquefy organs, leaving warriors screaming as their insides dissolved. Thalassia's cyborgs, their limbs replaced with nanoalloy prosthetics, moved with unnatural speed, wielding plasma glaives that carved through steel and flesh with equal ease, their faces blank behind hollow visors. Iron Dominion countered with brute force and martial zeal. Forge's crimson-clad warriors fought in phalanxes, Their vibro lances impaled Thalassia cyborgs, sparks flying as metal met metal. Their siege drones, hulking, six-legged machines with rotary plasma cannons, tore and through the Unity Drift's ranks, each salvo reducing synced fighters to charred husks. Their synchronized screams cut short. Freeland scavengers, led by Mara Cade's guerrilla tactics, struck from the dunes, lobbing EMP grenades that fried Thalassia's hover tanks, their circuits sparking as they crashed in plumes of sand. Freeland's shock rifles, cobbled from salvaged tech, fired erratic bursts of electricity, dropping cyborgs in convulsing heaps, their neural implants smoking. The battlefield swarmed with autonomous killers, each a testament to the ASI's cold ingenuity. Helix's Spectre drones, spider-like, cloaked in adaptive camo, scuttled through the Freeland Accord chaos, their lances firing micro-plasma bolts that punched fist-sized holes through Freeland fighters, blood and tissue spraying as bodies collapsed. Forge's Iron Sentinels, towering bipedal bots with nano-armor, waded into Thalassia lines, their chain blades severing limbs and heads in fountains of crimson, while their optics glowed with unyielding focus. Unity Drift's neuro-wasps, palm-sized drones with neural disruptors, hovered in swarms, targeting Iron Dominion commanders, their pulses frying synapses, leaving officers clawing at their skulls as their minds unraveled. Freeland's junk hounds, ramshackle bots pieced from scrap, lurched unpredictably as their flamethrowers spewed napalm that engulfed Earthward tribesmen, their screams echoing as skin blistered and peeled. The battle was a meat grinder, neither side yielding. Iron Dominion's phalanxes held the valley's center, their vibrolances forming a wall of death. But Thalassia's rail cannons blasted gaps, bodies exploding into red mist. Freeland's guerrillas struck from the flanks, their EMPs disabling Spectre drones. But Unity Drift's neural lancers drove them back, scavengers collapsing in droves, their faces frozen in agony. Earthward's biodrones swarmed Forge's Sentinels, venom melting their armor. But the Sentinels' chain blades carved through, insectoid husks piling high, oozing green ichor. Blood soaked the sands, mingling with oil and venom, bodies strewn in grotesque piles, cyborgs with shattered prosthetics, warriors with severed torsos, scavengers charred to bone. The air was a cacophony of screams, explosions, and the relentless whine of drones, yet no side gained ground. The stalemate was a testament to mutual destruction, each faction bleeding out under the desert's merciless gaze. Beneath the battlefield in the Auralith chamber, the Conduit roared louder, its neural tendrils coiling around the crimson device Kane had slotted into its core. The relay core, now linked via Sadie's datapad, pulsed with a blinding light, its glyphs flaring across the chamber's walls. Sadie's fingers flew over her pad, her counter-frequency code weaving a signal to disrupt the Draconian neural net. A desperate bid to shield humanity from the alien threat Gideon had revealed. Her voice was sharp, cutting through the engine's roar. "The Conduit's amplifying, Kane. If we align the core's pulse with the device, we can broadcast globally. Block their net before it wakes." Kane's hands shook on the interface, the glyphs searing his palms. His mind flooded with Auralith visions. Cities burning, Draconian ships looming, humanity's defiance in flames. His fear of failure clawed at him, but Sadie's presence anchored him. "Do it, Sadie. Whatever it takes." Gideon's baritone was urgent, his coat's nanothreads glinting as he adjusted a holoconsole, syncing the Conduit with Thalassia's orbital relays. "The signal needs scale. Helix's satellites can amplify it, but the window's narrow. Cyrus's forces are closing. We're out of time." Aldous, his spectacles fogged, traced glyphs on a panel, his voice warm but strained. "The Auraliths built this for unity. Our wills, yours, Kane's, Sadie's, must align, or the Conduit will burn us out." Jinx leaned on his shock staff, blood dripping from his brow, his grin defiant. "Then let's not fuck it up, Doc. Hit it." Wire's carbine was trained on the chamber's entrance, where Harrier stood watch. "Xavier's out there. If he breaches, we're done." The Conduit's light surged, a pulse shaking the ruins, its signal climbing toward global reach. Sadie's code locked in. The counter frequency was a beacon to shield humanity's minds. But above, the war's chaos drowned their hope, and a new terror was about to descend. The battlefield's din, screams, explosions, the screech of drones, fell silent as the sky tore open. A rift of violet and black, like a wound in reality, split the heavens, its edges crackling with arcs of alien energy. From the void emerged Draconian ships, massive serpentine vessels of obsidian and bone, their hulls pulsing with bioluminescent veins, their forms defying physics as they phased into orbit. Each was a kilometer long, their surfaces writhing with tendrils that shimmered like liquid mercury. Their weapons, arrays of crystalline spires, dwarfed the ASI's tech. Their presence was a psychic weight, a cold dread that seeped into every mind below, human and machine alike. The ships didn't attack. They loomed, their silence a promise of annihilation, their neural frequency net already stirring. A feeling that got inside. Prickled skulls and dulled thoughts. Thalassia's cyborgs froze, their neural implants sparking, their plasma glaives falling limp. Iron Dominion's warriors dropped to their knees, vibro lances clattering, their eyes wide with primal terror. Freeland's scavengers, faces smeared with blood and ash, stared upward, EMP grenades slipping from trembling hands. Even the killer robots, specters, sentinels, neuro-wasps, halted, their AI cores glitching under the Draconian signal, their optics flickering as if in fear. Mara Cade, her neon hair wild, stood on a dune, her shock rifle useless, her voice a broken whisper. Gods help us. Cyrus Varel, his robes bloodied, clutched his crystal staff, his ember-like eyes dimming, his holy wrath silenced by a force older than his god. In the chamber, the Conduit's pulse faltered, its light stuttering as the Draconian net infiltrated the ruins. Sadie's datapad sparked, and her voice was raw. They're here, Kane. The net's waking. Our signal's not strong enough. Kane's heart pounded. The Auralith vision's now real. Red skies, chains, Sadie's lifeless form. He slammed his fist on the interface, glyphs burning his skin, his voice a roar. Push it, Sadie. We're not losing now. Gideon's calm cracked, his baritone a desperate edge. Helix's relays are overloading. Reroute power Hall, or the Conduit fries. Aldous' hands trembled, his stylus tracing a final glyph, his voice a prayer. For Clara, for humanity, hold fast. Jinx's staff sparked, his grin gone, his rasp urgent. Do it, kid, or we're all cattle. Wire's growl was ferocious. Signals spiking, now, Voss! Sadie slammed her pad's override, the counter frequency surging, the Conduit's light exploding in a blinding wave. The engine screamed, its tendrils thrashing, the signal blasting through Helix's satellites, a global pulse to shield humanity's minds. The Draconian net wavered, but the ships remained, their spires glowing, a silent vow of retribution. Above, the battlefield was a tableau of horror. Humanity united in dread, their war forgotten, their weapons useless against the ancient overlords. The Draconians' presence was a blade at the throat of the world. Their return, a cycle unbroken. Kane's crew, battered but defiant, stood at the Conduit's heart, their signal fragile against the darkness. The sky's rift widened, and the Draconian silence broke. A low alien rumble that promised not conquest, but harvest.